Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's get started with some two-voice practice. Get warmed up, and we will start with defense attorney. Ready? Did you see Mr. Lamb and Mr. Ramirez after you arrived back in the United States in March? Yes, I did, sir. And would you describe the circumstances of that meeting? To the best of my recollection, we met and the cocaine was divided between us and we each took our shares. Do you recall that Mr. Lamb was there? To the best of my recollection, Mr. Lamb was at that meeting. At the time that you planned this March trip, did you have any conversations with Mr. Lamb and Mr. Ramirez about future trips? Yes, we did. What basically was said about future trips. In the endeavor proved profitable, we would consider engaging in another trip shortly thereafter. After you had handed the cocaine to Mr. Lamb and to Mr. Ramirez, did you ever have a discussion with Mr. Lamb or Mr. Ramirez about what would happen to the cocaine that you gave to them? To the best of my recollection, I don't believe there was substantive discussion about what they would do with their portion. That was their business, not mine. We may have discussed it in very, very general details, but I have no recollection. Did you again meet with Mr. Lamb and Mr. Ramirez after the March trip to discuss another cocaine smuggling trip? Yes, sir, I did. Would you describe when the next meeting took place? To the best of my recollection, there was a series of phone conversations in April. I can't recall with any clarity the exact dates. I believe, to the best of my recollection, there were several subsequent meetings in April and May. Did Mr. Lamb participate in those meetings? To the best of my recollection, Mr. Lamb participated in several meetings. You seem to hesitate before you give your answers. Why is that? Well, it's been a good many years since all of these events took place. It's certainly not a portion of my life that I remember with a great deal of fondness. I'd like to forget most of it, to be honest, sir. Right. Hopefully you're all warmed up, and now let's try some four-voice practice. And we will start with defense. Ready? And when you walk into the premises, can you walk around that wall as a customer entering and then walk between the jukebox and the bar? Yes. The wall that blocks the front door, can you walk both sides of the wall? I believe so, yes. And if the bar is along the west wall, then it would run north and south. Can you tell me about how long the bar fixture is? Approximately 20 feet, maybe 25. Okay. Does the bar have stools in front of it? Yes. Do you know how many stools it has? Not exactly. Any chairs or any other seating facilities other than the bar stools? Yes. What else is around the bar? There are some tables and chairs, and then there is some booth seating by the pool table. Very good answer to my question. My question was very poor. At the bar fixture, are there any other seats other than the stools? When I say stool, I guess I mean kind of a chair that's elevated from the ground and has a backing, so it's not just an actual stool, but from what I remember, it was just those high chairs. and the seat on those chairs or stools would be lower than the bar fixture would be? Yes. So that if you, would it be, and I've not been to the premises, so if I was in the location sitting on one of those bar stools, I take it my knees or the top of my legs would fit between the chair and the bar fixture? Yes. And I take it, having sat at the bar, approximately where did the bar fixture hit you when you were seated in one of those chairs? The actual top of the bar was probably 6 inches above my knees. On the occasion that you testified, I'm just trying to get a person's name here. Give me just a moment. When Ron, on July 8 of '05, came up to the bar fixture and left a baggie on the bar or on the stool or the chair, as you put it, that was below bar level from opposite the bartender's side, would that be correct? The actual seat of the chair is below the bar. Yes. Let's go back to July 6th for just a quick moment. This is the incident where I think you mentioned that Linda was working and that this is when the unidentified person walked through the place with the what you described as what you thought was a joint or marijuana cigarette. Do you recall that? Yes. Linda was behind the bar fixture, according to your testimony, and in fact you identified the guy as Wes, and you say she looked in his direction? Yes. Do you know if she was specifically looking at him, or was she just looking in that direction? I can't speculate exactly what she was looking at. And am I to understand that you don't have any indication or information that Ron was an employee of the premises, do you? No direct information. And again, excuse me, investigator, if you hadn't written such a detailed report, it wouldn't take me quite so long to refer to it. I say that kind of tongue and cheek, by the way. So from standing from the bar, the bartender behind the bar fixture, generally speaking, would be able to see people coming from the restroom area. That was your testimony, correct? Yes, just the men's restroom, but that would also be the area outside to the back door, correct? Not sure I understand. Somebody coming from the area of the men's restroom could have been coming from the restroom, or they could have been coming in the rear entrance of the premises. Would that be true? With the exception of how you see them walking, mirroring, if you're coming out of the men's restroom, you would walk east and then have to turn into the bar. Otherwise, someone would be walking straight north. You would be able to tell if somebody came out of the men's restroom, in my opinion, from the bar. And is the rear door of the premises, do you have to pass by the restroom to get to the rear door of the premises if you're inside the bar? Yes. And is the rear door of the premises, based upon your visits to the location, typically open? Yes. Do customers utilize that rear door? Yes. And a couple of times you, especially when you were referring to Cassie, you made reference to the fact that she was at the jukebox. What typically was she doing when she was at the jukebox? She was putting money into the machine and selecting songs. And did you see her physically putting the money in the jukebox? Yes. In fact, one time you were there at the jukebox with her. Did you help her select any of the songs? No, she selected them all on her own. On the visit that Mr. Van, you saw Mr. Van in the premises, and I believe that's 925. I assume you took notes of his somewhat following that investigation. of your observations of Mr. Van? Yes. And then you transcribed that to your report? Yes. You testified that he was in there about 15 minutes. I read the report to indicate that he had come in the bar on 3 different occasions and that he stayed for 2 minutes each time and left. Can you explain the difference in what the report says versus what your testimony was? Sure. It was during a 15-minute period overall that he came in and out of the bar for several minutes at a time. And when he came in, I think you testified he went into the office or tended to something in the back that you're not aware of what he was doing. That was one of the things he did. Okay, what else was he doing? He also went behind the fixed bar near the cash register. And that will conclude our Q&A practice.